I think
Maybe.
I'm slightly more on Carole's side, but I'm mostly just Team Saf, honestly.
There. Welcome to WatchMojo's Poppin the Culture, your weekly entertainment touchpoint. And me, well, I am your host with the most, Mojo. Of course, that's right, it's me, Mr. Hollywood himself, Matt Demers. Such a huge show coming your way. I've got two Mojo Chats of the week for you. Number one, we've got Lex Mayson, star of the new Peacock series Joe vs. Carole. And I've got the director of the new horror film 645, being described as The Sixth Sense meets Groundhog Day. All that and so much more. But first, we're jumping into it. Here's your Hollywood headlines. All right, as we do each and every show, we kick things off with a look at some of the more interesting developments over there in Hollywood. We like to break it down, but of course, I need help doing it. And look who we've got. One of the voices over there at WatchMojo. Hey, Tom, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us today. And you're coming from where?
I'm on Long Island in New York.
New York.
Yep.
The city that never sleeps.
Exactly. Yeah, and I have a toddler, so I never sleep either. So I'm feeling that right now.
double meaning for you.
Exactly.
Listen, there's some fun stuff that I want to chat with you about. I'm wondering if you're a fan of a particular superhero by the name of Deadpool.
Yeah, the Merc with the mouth, absolutely.
Yeah, I am too, and I really been enjoying those movies. Though, of course, yeah. Ryan Reynolds. Was there ever a better casting for a superhero? Maybe.
No, he honestly, I can't imagine anyone else playing Deadpool. He is Deadpool. You know, I mean, I think that if he ever left like the role for whatever reason, they would not be able to cast anyone else. He's just too perfect.
So, Tom, here's the news that we got going on is that the director has been announced for Deadpool 3, and it's someone that's very familiar with Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Reynolds movies as of late. Mr. Sean Levy, who did, he did Free Guy, and he also did something called The Adam Project. I think this is a good fit. What says you?
You know, I think so too. I mean, he's well versed in how Ryan Reynolds performs and how he works and stuff like that. I mean, I have not seen Free Guy, but I've heard it was like a very big passion project for Ryan Reynolds. So to have someone like Sean Levy attached to that as well as Deadpool, I mean, I think they're just going to work so totally well together, and I think it's going to be amazing.
I think so too. You got to see Free Guy, by the way. It's really great.
I've heard it's phenomenal. As a big gamer, I it's a high up on my list. Trust me.
And there's more to that movie and kind of the Adam Project too. More to those movies than I thought. Yeah. I got more out of it than I thought. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Deadpool franchise. And of course, we know that Ryan Reynolds will just nail it. What needs to happen in that movie? Because we've had the two Deadpools so far. I think they've been pretty great. I mean, is there anything that the third one needs to do?
I got to see him be brought into the MCU. I mean, you know, that now that Disney kind of is owning all these different companies and working with Sony and whatnot. I mean, I'm dying to see Deadpool be brought into the MCU. I'd love to see it in this movie. You know, I think maybe they might bring him in some kind of larger X-Men movie and whatnot. But I got to see it. I would love to see some kind of crossover, just something that's going to say, yep, Deadpool's now going to be in this next phase of the MCU. I'm a big fan of comics and the MCU in general. So I think if that happens, I'm just going to go nuts. That'll probably be like a post-credits scene, but I think something needs to be happen or at least referenced.
No, I'm 100% with you. And I need to see Deadpool and Spider-Man. Because in the comics, they're a great little duo.
I was thinking Spider-Man, absolutely.
And with Tom Holland, Spider-Man, and Ryan Reynolds, I think that could be fun. But yeah, cameos galore. That's what I'm expecting out of this.
Absolutely.
Make it happen, MCU. Okay, so speaking of happening, it is happening. WrestleMania for wrestling fans. You know, listen, I am a wrestling fan. I've been since I was a kid.
Sure.
Maybe not as big as I used to be, but I still will watch the biggest show of the year, and it's WrestleMania 38 this year, if you can believe it. If you want to feel old, there you go. Stone Cold, Steve Austin. There's a name from the past, and he is being touted as one of the stars of this WrestleMania, and people might be going, "Well, how could that be? He's retired." Tom, he's coming back. He's coming back. Now they're not.
I can't wait.
Now they're not saying necessarily he's going to be in a match. But he will get physical, it looks like. Yeah. His opponent will be someone by the name of Kevin Owens. For those that know the current project, know that Kevin Owens has been using the Stone Cold Stunner as his finisher for a long time. I don't know. I'm excited to see it. Are you a wrestling fan? I don't even know.
You know, it's so funny. I grew up religiously watching wrestling. You know, I watched it. It was the WWF.
Yeah.
You know, and Stone Cold was always up there on my list of wrestling heroes. I have not tuned into wrestling as much as I would love to. I just haven't had the time. But I mean, that's for something like that. You can guarantee I'm going to be tuning into WrestleMania. I need to see the man back in the ring and relive my childhood.
And I don't think it'll be kind of one of those. You ever see a lot of these wrestlers come back and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
You know, they're not in the best shape. No, I don't think so. It's Stone
Oh,
Cold.
no.
He's dropped a promo. He's still the same badass that I remember, anyways, from what they call the Attitude Era.
Yep.
But some consider Steve Austin one of the greatest of all time.
I agree.
There's something called people talk about this, the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Is Stone Cold on that? I think so, for me.
Absolutely. Of course. I mean, he has to be. Him next to The Rock, you know, up there with some of the heroes that I loved as a kid, you know, Kane and The Undertaker and stuff. I mean, Chris Jericho, if he's not... It'd be a crime to not have him up on that list. I mean, he's a household name. Even if you didn't watch wrestling growing up, or you weren't really like a huge fan of it, everyone knows Stone Cold Steve Austin. If he needs to be on there, I think above a lot of other people. So
absolutely. So
yeah.
I'm gonna be tuning in to see that, and I hope
I
hope we see a Stone Cold Stunner to rock that joint. Okay, and we're gonna finish off our Hollywood headlines with a show that I'm super excited for. The third season is coming out of The Boys. We just got a first look at it. There is an animated kind of shorts going on over there on Amazon, but the live action show that it's based on, well, it's actually based on the comics, but
right.
The show that took everyone by storm is coming soon. Did you get a chance to see this little sneak peek?
I did, yeah, and I watched it again right before we sat down today. I love The Boys. My wife and I are big fans. I actually have not read. I've read a little bit of the comic, but since watching the show, that's something I want to get my hands on. I can't wait. I mean, I as a big superhero fan, I kind of love seeing. I've always wondered, these people have these amazing powers, and they're still human, so it's easy to abuse that power. I love what they do, and I don't think they hold any punches back on this show.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with you, because I feel like. Not to say that it would actually happen this way, but there would be elements of it if there were superheroes in our world. Yeah. The season 3 trailer has some interesting moments. We see kind of a spoof of that Kendall Jenner.
Yep, with A-Train. I love that.
With A-Train. And then we got a new character, Jason Eccles.
It's Soldier Boy, yeah.
Soldier Boy, that's it.
Yeah.
That looks interesting. And then what's happening with Billy the Butcher? He's got superpowers now?
Yeah, it's funny. In this one thing I know from the comics is that all of the boys kind of take Compound V at some point in order to fight against the Supes, because you have these all-powerful beings. You can't really fight them as humans for very long. I'm interested to see, man. I'm interested to see if he's going to become the thing that he hates the most. He blames Homelander for destroying his family and stuff, and he obviously hates the Supes, I think, more than anybody. I'm very curious to see if he's going to become some sort of villain, while trying to fight his own villains. I don't know. I think the show might go there, and I think we've seen kind of his the ends justify the means type ways, and I think it's going to happen. I really do.
And we didn't see it in this trailer, but Tom, they are going to tackle something called Hero-gasm.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what this is.
No.
People that know. Okay, well, listen. If people that read the comics know what this is, it's an orgy of superheroes in the literal sense.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's making it to season 3. So be on the lookout for that.
Fantastic.
Don't let the kids watch. But
yeah.
The Boys season 3. All right. Hey, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
This has been fun, but I need you to do me a favor. Don't
Yeah.
go anywhere.
Okay, I won't.
Because right now, me and you, we got to go beyond the list.
Sweet.
All right, Tom, this is all about me and you. We're going to go, basically what we do is we pluck out an old top 10 list from the WatchMojo archives. There's so many. This one's actually pretty recent, but it caught my attention because I'm a movie guy. I love me some movies. And it's top 10 movie predictions that came true. You know what I'm talking about here? Sci-fi, things that happen in the future. And then,
Back to the Future type things and everything.
Yeah, and then you watch it and you're like, oh, well, that's not so futuristic after all.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what movies kind of predicted that or what's basically come to fruition. What's your go-to movie genre, by the way? What do you like?
I mean, besides the superhero movies, I love anything sci-fi or fantasy.
Yeah.
It's my jam. I love like things from Game of Thrones all the way up to Star Wars. Those two types of extremes where it's kind of like that fantasy sci-fi world. I can't get enough of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Well, let's start with number 10. It's Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah.
1989. What did they do? What did they say that came true? Well, WatchMojo saying technologies like drones,
Yep.
video calls, wearable technology, hands-free gaming, biometric scanners, and smartwatches. Wow. Back to the Future 2 nailed it, guys.
They really did. They did. They got everything. It's creepy.
Yeah, but we don't have the do we have it now? The Marty McFly's little
The hoverboard.
the hoverboard?
You know, it's funny. That's if I had to pick one thing out from this this part of the list, I'd want a legitimate hoverboard. I mean, people, things are marketed right now as hoverboards and stuff, but this is like that when I think of a hoverboard as a kid, like that's what I wanted. And flying cars too. We haven't seen that yet, but I'm in for it. I would love that.
Will we ever get a flying car, guys? Come on.
I think Google's working on everything, but I think Google had said they were working on something. Maybe, I don't know. And I think now they've kind of steered their attention towards the self-driving cars, but I think eventually, I think it has to happen.
They got to fly. We're running out of room.
Exactly.
Running out of room.
Exactly.
And didn't Back to the Future have those like self-lacing shoes? Remember? It was like
the Nike self-lacing shoes. Yeah.
I'd be into that.
I would too. I would too. I'm okay with that.
I'm that lazy. I need a self-lacing
me too.
shoe.
Trust me too.
Let's see what WatchMojo had at number 9 here. We're looking at Minority Report, and they had targeted ads, self-driving cars. There you go, self-driving cars.
Yeah.
Smart homes and gesture computing. I do remember this. I do remember watching Minority Report, and he's doing the whole thing with the the computing and the self-driving cars. Yeah, no, and this was great. That came out in 2002.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. It's funny with this with the ads. I mean, I do a lot of commercial work as a voice actor, and I did a spot for Levi's last year for Black Friday. And I didn't even type the word Levi's into like Google or anything like that. But the next day, I was seeing ads on Facebook for the Black Friday sale that I was advertising in the commercial. It was really creepy. And now, with like streaming services, they're working on advertisements that you'll see like a product in an ad, and then you can actually click on your TV to go right to Amazon to buy that product, which is very creepy. But it's insane. I mean, it's insane what the things that the advertisers can do. It's like scary, but it's cool at the same time.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Okay, let's move on to lunar exploration that took place in a trip to the moon in 1902. Okay, so 1902. Oh, yes, that's right. A trip to the moon. That's what I know what I'm talking about now. I mean, imagine, though, back then, a trip to the moon, well, that didn't seem realistic at all.
No. Now it's history books for us.
Now we're going to the moon. We're walking in the moon.
Yeah.
Driving cars on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. 1902, a trip to the moon. Yeah. All right, let's move on to holograms. This is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. The first one that came out in the series in 1977. I remember, obviously, the holograms, but back then, I mean, that didn't seem realistic. Now you can watch concerts of hologram people that have passed away. Are you into holograms?
Yeah, I think that's so cool.
I do too.
I've seen some of the stuff they can do with concerts, and it's honestly like the performers right up there on the stage. I think the next thing that I would love to see would be like, you're kind of projected into the stadium itself, and it's almost like you're in the concert just watching it. I think that's so cool. And, there's just something to be said about like being able to see people, even loved ones. It just kind of, I don't know.
No, and some people find it creepy. Some people may not be into it, but I would love to see. I'll get you to tell me what concert you'd like to see, but for me, it's Elvis.
That'd be cool.
An Elvis Presley concert.
Yeah.
Right, with the hologram.
That would be cool.
You?
I would love to see Michael. And I think they've done it already, but Michael Jackson. Just the showmanship, and my God, I feel like there'd just be such an experience. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And of course, Star Wars showed us in 1977 that it can be done. It can be done.
Right.
Thanks, Star Wars. Climate change in 1973 was in a movie called Soylent Green. We've seen climate change and the effects of climates in lots of movies. Obviously, this is the one I think that goes back maybe the furthest that highlighted it the most. Yeah, and looking at a lot of recent movies that are looking at like the dire future, that dystopian future. Let's hope those aren't right.
Yeah. I love that kind of like that dystopian kind of those movies and shows, and yeah, it's scary. It's scary how real of a possibility it is.
We need to turn the corner on this climate change.
I agree.
I don't want to live in that future.
No, I'm good. No Mad Max for me, thanks.
Come on, guys. Yeah. Reality TV competition is our number 5th for the movie Death Race.
Yeah.
1975. They've obviously done the remakes of Death Race.
Sure.
But yeah, you know what? Reality TV, I mean, you can find just about anything, right? Dating shows, competition shows. Now there's a show.
Everything.
Do you remember the meme where people were cutting things and it was like cake?
Yeah.
And it was blowing. There's a show coming out on Netflix about Is It Cake? Yeah. That's where reality shows have gone. So, but
you know, we want to watch shows about like these everyday things. It's crazy. You know, and I think that a lot has to be said about like the vlogging and YouTube culture. I think we would like to watch people live quote unquote real life. And I think that's why they're becoming so popular.
No, for sure. And I'm thinking back to the Truman Show. I remember watching the Truman Show and being like, oh, wow, they're gonna film this guy every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at now. I mean, the Kardashians, they have a camera in their face all the time. But I mean, unlike the Truman Show, they know it's there.
Yeah.
but it's there. The cameras are on.
Yeah.
So yeah, reality TV being predicted all the way back in 1975 when it wasn't a thing, guys. Wasn't a thing. Number 4 is robots. I mean, Metropolis in 1927. I do remember this one. Robots have evolved in movies throughout the years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a robot in my house.
I got a shark. I like one of those shark robots. I guess that counts. You know,
but not like the
vacuum,
Jetsons.
Yeah.
I'm talking like the Jetsons maid.
Oh
right?
yeah. I mean, that'd be cool. It would be cool.
I want that.
I want like a robot chef.
They do kind of creep me out. That's one thing that I don't know if I necessarily want.
Yeah.
In my house, now that I think about it.
Yeah. I think as long as I knew that I was always like, you know, they couldn't decide that they were smarter than me and take over my house and the world and stuff, I'd be okay with that. Robot cooking me up some nice meals and cleaning the house.
I know, but there's too many.
Sign me up.
Too many cautionary tales in movies, right?
Yeah.
It's like the whole dinosaur thing, right? I think now we're able to have a dinosaur if we wanted to. I think we can actually do Jurassic Park.
Probably.
But don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't touch that. All right, things are getting interesting here because we're getting close to the top. Number 3 is self-driving cars. We already mentioned holograms as well, and video messages. This all part of Total Recall. Very much remember this Arnold Schwarzenegger film in 1990. Yeah, you know what? Back in I'm a 90s kid.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And I mean, at the end of the day, watching these things, I wouldn't think that this would happen in my lifetime. You know what I mean? It just seemed weird.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Even like now, everything you can do on your phone, that didn't make sense to me.
You know, it's so funny. It's like I remember having a phone when like internet on a phone first came out, and if you clicked that button, you were paying like crazy amounts of money.
No, I do remember.
You know, you'd be like back, go, get out. And now I can't imagine like living without it. It's as bad as it is. I'm super addicted to my. I look everything up on my phone. I use a computer for my for my business, and that's it.
Yeah, no, if I leave the house without the phone, I'm going back to the house to get the phone.
Absolutely.
So it's like forgetting your pants at this
100%.
point. But yeah, Total Recall. That was quite the movie. They did a remake. Remember they did the remake with Colin Farrell? I didn't like that.
No, he's a great actor, but yeah, it wasn't the best movie.
Didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into number 2, Blade Runner. That's cool. Hey, listen, I love that movie. And we had the digital billboards. Obviously, the whole climate change thing, the voice commands, that was a big deal, and the video calls. Blade Runner, what a great movie, and obviously the technology. Do you think that people they must, right, the writers and the people that make these movies, they must really look at the evolution of technology and say, okay, what?
I would imagine so, yeah. You know, and I think like a lot of the writers now, you know, like you said before, a lot of them do look to those shows like the Jetsons and any movies that are set in like the super future. But they have to. You know, I'm a firm believer that anything people think of, you know, it's something that we've heard before, or that we take inspiration from. But I mean, they have to look at different trends and how much technology has just exploded. And then I think at that point, the sky's the limit. I mean, I think anything they think of is probably going to happen eventually.
Yeah. I just watched, I mean, we talked earlier about Ryan Reynolds and the Adam Project, and I watched that, and it's about time travel. But watching that movie, I'm like, yeah, maybe.
That'd be, man, I would love to go back and take a little vacation back to some cool times in history. That'd be awesome. Yeah. But then you mess with the timeline and stuff.
Yeah, the butterfly effect.
Yeah, we get into all like Flashpoint and stuff like that. So.
All right, number one. Here we go. This is technology that ended up coming true in movies. Well, back in 1968, 2001, A Space Odyssey came out, and lo and behold, we have artificial intelligence, the tablet computers, the video calls, of course, and so much more. For me, it's that HAL 9000, who was pretty evil, but that's basically like Alexa in my house. Yeah. Or whatever they are.
Yeah. We have an Alexa, and we use it for like everything. I mean, it's just so convenient. Checking the weather, ordering something on Amazon, but I mean, the data that's probably being collected, and sometimes the thing will just light up randomly. We'll be watching TV and we'll see it light up. I'm like, I don't know what it's doing there.
And it'll also, and it's because it's connected, I guess, to our Amazon account, my Alexa. Right. So it'll tell me like, oh, it's time for you to buy a new whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, what? No, it's not.
And it's smart because it's like, oh yeah, let me do it. It's convenient. Let me buy it. But you're not looking at the prices or anything like that. It's brilliant on their part, but it is creepy.
I don't think an Alexa has intentionally murdered anybody like the HAL 9000 yet. Fingers crossed. But
not yet.
But that was a big movie, Stanley Kubrick, and it was all about the passage of time and where it can go. Yep. So I mean, heck, they did get a lot right, and the artificial intelligence, tablet computers, and all that stuff. So amazing stuff. So if you want to relive any of those movies and see how far we've come, I mean, there's your list right there.
Exactly.
Hey Tom, thanks so much for joining me today on the show.
Dude, thank you for having me. It was a blast.
This has been lots of fun, and we'll listen for you on the WatchMojo channel. But if anyone wants to find out more, where do they go? What can they do?
They go to tomaglio.com. I'm a professional full-time voice actor. I do primarily commercial work, video games, animation, and dubbing, and I've got some cool things coming out, so be on the lookout. Amazing stuff. Speaking of which, it is now time for our first of two Mojo Chats of the week. All right, the show is Joe versus Carole. Of course, we all know the story of Tiger King. Now it's being dramatized over there on Peacock. I've got one of the actors here, Lex Mayson. Hey, Lex,
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm so excited to chat with you. I'm one of the millions, and I'm not exaggerating, millions of people who are obsessed with this story. When we saw the Netflix documentary, I want to talk about that. But first, I just want to say that I love your.
Thank you.
I don't usually compliment the guests' accessories, but I'm just looking at it and like.
I thought it was like thematically appropriate. I think Carole Baskin would approve.
Carole Baskin approved cat ears. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's talk about the show, because you set it up for us, who you're playing and what we can expect out of it, because it's already out there. People who haven't seen it, what can they expect?
Well, I play Saf, which was I think one of the most liked people in the documentary, and I'm really excited to. It was an amazing experience to portray him. And as for the show, I just think it will show things that they aren't able to show in like a documentary format, like private moments and things like that. That it would be that I think we were missing maybe in the documentary, and it just like fills in some of the gaps in a really entertaining way, I think. So definitely give it a watch.
You're not wrong about being a likable, Saf being incredibly likable. I think of all the people that were featured on the documentary, everyone was like, yeah, Saf seems like the
level-headed, not money crazy. Like,
although Saf had that incident with his arm and the tiger, which is something that really stood out with me.
But then he was just like chill about it after, like, I can go back to work. It's all fine. I am missing an arm, but
he decided to get the amputation rather than go through the long process of seeing if he can rehabilitate. So, did you have how did you prepare? Did you talk with Saf? Did you just go back and watch, the documentary, or what was your preparation process for this role?
Yeah, well, I was unfortunately unable to talk to Saf, though I would still love to. That would be really cool. But I watched his parts of the documentary like over and over and over and over again, and then I also looked up any interviews that he did like on YouTube and stuff, and watched those over and over again as well.
Yeah, exactly, because
Mhm.
you're trying to get the mannerisms, the
Yeah, the
speaking.
voice. Yeah. Yeah, his
Exactly.
accent is like really subtle, so it was hard to nail. But I was just trying to get it in my head.
Speaking of nailing it,
Mhm.
Kate McKinnon is on
Yes,
here as Carole
I
Baskin. She
love her. Yeah,
doesn't she nail it?
she's so good.
She's so great. What a great cast too. Besides her, Kyle McLaughlin, right?
hmm So
Um,
nice. Yep.
and the list goes on and on. What was that experience like on set? Take us behind the scenes.
Um, well, yeah, it was me and Nat Wolf and Sam Keeley all got like really close, and we were like a trio and just like did everything together outside of set, and like if we were on set at the same time, it was like the best day ever. But I loved everyone obviously, but yeah, those two were like those were my boys. um yeah, and no, we just had a lot of fun, and they encouraged me to like present any ideas I had to like the producers and stuff, which I was terrified to do because it was like my first big gig. I'm like, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Just do not perceive me. I am fine. Everything is fine. But then they like really brought me out of my shell.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So the show's called, is it Joe versus Carole or Carole versus Joy? I always mix it up.
Joe versus Carole. Yeah.
Joe. Okay, so Joe versus Carole. Pick.
Mm-hmm.
You got to choose. I think we're as the audience, we have to choose who we want, right? We're pitting them against each other.
Yeah.
It's tough because I think when I watched the Netflix doc, I didn't like. Well, they've both done some interesting, questionable things, but I think I
Yeah.
was more on Joe's side.
Yeah.
The more I learned, and then this show kind of reiterates, I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I think
Maybe
I'm slightly more on Carole's side. But I'm mostly just Team Saf, honestly.
you see
Yeah.
that we can all agree on at
Yeah.
least. That
Yeah.
we can all agree on. Awesome
Mhm.
stuff. So you mentioned this was your first big gig. I was taking a look at your filmography. You've done some other things. You also
Mhm.
popped up on a little CW show.
Yeah, Batwoman I was on.
That was
Yeah.
fun. That was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. I did shots with Wallace Day, shots of apple juice mixed with water, but
Is that what
yeah.
it is? They're not taking real shots on these shows?
Oh, film secret. No. It is any brown fluid that is not alcoholic. And then I watched her like break a bottle a bunch of times. It was really fun. It was a good day.
Nice.
But
Is
yeah.
this so? My next question was: is this something that you want to keep doing as far as being an actor, or are there other avenues that you want to explore?
Acting is definitely like my main thing. That's like what most of my passion and focus is on. And I'm currently writing a sitcom that I'm going to star in. Hopefully, if it works out. I also cosplay a lot, which is one of my major hobbies. But yeah, acting is definitely my main gig.
Amazing. I want to touch on the cosplay for a second. I think that's pretty
Mhm,
cool. We have
mhm.
one of our co-hosts that comes on, Kirsten Rhea, is fantastic at cosplay, and I always get
Oh,
her to show photos and stuff.
mhm.
What's kind of some of your go-tos, or what is it? Some of the cosplays you like doing? Is it someone from the video game world, or is it animation, or is it live action superheroes?
All of the above. I have spent so much money on all these different costumes. A lot from like Boku no Hero Academia, a couple of Dragon Age ones. My dream one would be like Mass Effect one, but it's like very hard. But I'll be working on that eventually. And then just like yeah, I think it's like probably like half anime, half video games. And then I also do like Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Amazing. I think anime is great at for cosplay because their looks are so interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've never done it.
Mm-hmm.
Lex, if I was to cosplay, give me some inspiration.
You could be my Star Lord.
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm so in. I love
Yeah.
the jacket. He's got the head. Can I wear the head thing?
Yeah,
I'm in.
yeah. Perfect.
I don't
But
like
you
to
can
mess
do
up.
you can do anything you well, if you wear wigs, if you're okay with wearing wigs, you could
Ugh,
do literally anything.
spend too much money on my haircut.
Uh,
So
yeah, fair enough.
don't.
I think I have over 100 wigs now. It's real crazy.
There you go. You're all set. You're all set.
Yeah.
Listen, it's been so much fun chatting with you. If
Mhm.
people want to follow and
Yeah.
check out some of your cosplay or what you got next in line, where
Mhm.
do they go? Where do I go?
You can go to @Lex Mayson. It's the same on Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter. Follow me. I'll post what I've got going on. It's mostly cosplay right now, but yeah, when I like have more done with my sitcom and like if I have things to announce, that will be where it goes.
Amazing. And that's where I will be going. And we want to encourage everyone out there. If you haven't already, on Peacock, it's Joe versus Carole.
Yeah.
Make your pick. Hey, Lex, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us here
Thank
on
you for having
WatchMojo's
me.
Poppin the Culture. The movie is being described as Groundhog Day meets The Sixth Sense. And I've got the director of 645 to tell me all about it. Hey, Craig, how are you?
Great. Nice to be on your show. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited that you're here with me because I love me some horror and I love things that are maybe a little different. And this movie kind of fits that bill. Set the stage. I mean, you're the director. This is your baby. Let people know what they can expect out of 645.
Well, it was an incredible journey. We started the film, actually started conceiving the film many years ago, and then finally launched it with a young ragtag team of extremely talented filmmakers and actors and collaborators. And it was a real privilege. I'd been with Walt Disney for a while as a creative executive, and then this was kind of my entrance back into the world of filmmaking. And it was wonderful. We all lived in a haunted gingerbread Victorian, and everybody kind of left their egos at the front door, and we all wore many hats. And very proud of the film. The film is about a couple in love who go on a romantic weekend retreat, and something terrible happens, and he wakes up every morning at 6:45 and has to relive the nightmare. So it does have kind of a little bit of a Groundhog Day vibe, but it's also really interesting that when we wrapped production, it was about 2 weeks before the world turned upside down with the pandemic. So pretty much everybody on the planet has been living their version of my film. So everybody has this day that repeats the sameness to the day. And I thought that was very kind of bittersweet and profound with regard to what unfortunately people have been going through. So it'll definitely resonate with people. It's a great kind of a date film with amazing performances by some incredible actors. And I think people are going to really enjoy the film.
So I was actually going to ask you about this. So this wrapped right before the lockdowns and the pandemic, everything happened.
Yeah, a lot of my cast and crew came from Los Angeles. We shot it in Jersey, but people were getting sick and we didn't know what it was because they didn't have a name at the time. So people just thought it was a terrible flu, and we kind of plowed through and went forward. And it was really very scary. I remember my makeup artist, Vincent, said he had read about this thing coming. And, we were so focused on the film that we kind of, blew it off like so many people did. And then boy, oh boy, did it pack a wallop for a while.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I felt like you hit the nail right on the head. I felt like I was living my own Groundhog Day in lockdown. What is it about that concept, the concept of waking up reliving that same day, that fits so well with that kind of horror genre or
Well,
thriller?
It's interesting. It was such a powerful comedy concept for a comedy. And then when I thought about it as a thriller, it was kind of before a lot of the time loop films had become kind of fashionable. So it was before a lot of these other films, and a lot of them are really entertaining. And I feel ours has a very special kind of a DNA. It feels very, it's got its own kind of footprint, thumbprint, social media, whatever you want to call it. But we found a really wonderful location, which is a kind of a throwback to almost like a Norman Rockwell painting. It's just charming and beautiful, and it lends itself to this kind of claustrophobic sense of disconnect from the mainland and isolation, which is really, I know it's overused. People talk about a location being a character in a film, but in the case of 645, it's very appropriate, and I think people are going to enjoy that.
You also mentioned that there's the romance aspect to it. That might surprise some people based on what the concept is. Should people watch this on a date? Is this a good date movie?
It's a fantastic date movie, and as a side note, the lead couple are actually a couple in real life.
Oh, so there you go.
It's going to be interesting to see the chemistry's off the charts. I mean, the two of them are. And I was worried initially because it doesn't always work out that way. Even if there is a couple, it doesn't always translate to film. As you know, things are, films are their own things. They have their own life. But in the case of Augie and Michael, I was really blessed that the two of them not only worked on screen as well as off screen, but they were just a pleasure to work with, and charming individuals as well.
What inspirations, Craig, did you take for this film? Because I feel like there's some aspects, maybe Hitchcock, for instance. I got some of those vibes. Was that something that you like you actually wanted to do those type of things, or did that come naturally?
It's a great question. I think, I'm more of a student of the 70s, a little bit more old school in terms of my sensibility and my pacing. So I feel like films need to breathe a little bit, and it's not a razzle dazzle MTV cut. It's not my thing. And I feel like the film opens up and paces really well. So when you talk about older films, whether it's Hitchcock or Kazan or Kubrick or some of the filmmakers that I kind of admired as a younger man, I feel like that might be appropriate. And I feel that, the film is going to mean different things to different people, and it really ought to, as most films do. And a lot of people talk about the ending of the film, and there's a real satisfying ambiguity, in my opinion. And I don't like to kind of put a bow on that, or exclamation point or a ribbon or underline it. I think people should kind of take it away, what they're going to subjectively. And for me, those are the types of films that I find most gratifying.
I'm right there with you. I love a movie that will have me like the next day in the shower, the next morning, being like thinking about what I saw, and this is one of those movies. So that's good stuff. Let's talk about you for a second, Craig. What are some of the films that you enjoy watching as a fan?
Oh boy, that's a great question. I'm really a lot of people associate me with genre films because I did a few horror films for Lionsgate, but I really love all. I love dramas, whether it's, my favorite film is East of Eden by Elia Kazan. I loved There Will Be Blood, and obviously films like Clockwork Orange and The Godfather. There's a film, Eric Bana's, his kind of breakout film is a film called Chopper. I really love that. There's an Anthony Hopkins film called Magic with Burgess Meredith and Anne Margaret that I really like. There's certain films that, like, when I'm working with actors, I'll give them a list of films to watch, and I find myself going back to certain films. It's funny. I shot a film at Universal once called Dark Ride, and I had terrible insomnia, and we were shooting at nights. And for about a month and a half, I watched the same two films every night. And don't ask me why, but I watched The Who's Tommy and Master and Commander. And for some reason, that cinematic cocktail put me to sleep. But every night I would watch Tommy and Master and Commander, and I have no idea why.
What are the movies that you told this cast to watch? What were some of the ones you sent their way?
In 645, I really didn't. We had such a good relationship at the time we made the film that I really knew Augie and Michael as friends. And so we had that kind of shorthand that you read about with filmmakers sometimes, and artists that they collaborate with. So I don't think we watched. I think me and the cinematographer, Lucas Patasi, who's brilliant, he and I would watch. He would come over with Kat. We had a lot of people who were couples who were also living together, so they came over, and we would watch films at my house, and we watched some genre films together, and we would watch films just so we could reference composition and lighting and a little bit more craft. Usually with the actors, it's a little bit more emotional. But I'm working on a film right now with an actor who's kind of a famous rock star in London, and I just gave him a diet of films to watch, and so he'll come back to me. I think I had him watch Sexy Beast, and what else did I have him watch? Chopper, and Rumblefish, the Coppola film with Mickey Rourke and Matt Dillon. So sometimes it's eclectic, it kind of jumps around, but there's usually a method to my madness. Usually there's a reason if you're an actor and I have you watch a film. It's not just a capricious watch this film to watch this film. Usually there's a little bit of a strategy behind the films I'll have you watch.
I love that you said a diet of films. That you need to write a book, Craig Singer's Film Diet, and just
yeah, it would be pretty interesting. I'll tell you that. It would be all over the place, but I think it would be fun to watch.
That's a diet I can get on board with. Hey, listen, it's been fascinating chatting with you. 645. We want to encourage everyone out there to check it out and have a great time with it, and discover and take what you want from it. As Craig said, there's lots going on.
Enjoy the film, and send me your feedback, and then sit tight for my next film. It's going to be pretty crazy, and we're getting ready to get going with that one as well.
Amazing. Hey, Craig, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
All right, you be safe. Have a good day.
Well, that's going to do it for another episode, everybody. Big thanks going out to Lex, to Craig, and of course to Tom for joining in on all the fun. Hey, thank you for checking it all out. Till next time, I've been Mr. Hollywood, poppin' that culture.